Bob Goulet, your host for tonight's scary ghost stories. We've got some fun involved for you tonight. We're going to start with a little poem called Walk Towards the Fright. Late afternoon, can't seem to rest. Get up off my feet, put on my vest. I walk out the door and down the street. I hear the cobblestones click and clack as they interface with my feet. As I walk along the narrow path, the sun is setting, and the shadows reach their fingers out to catch all they can catch. As they reach and the sun goes further down, darkness encompasses everything around. The dark fingers of the shadows interlace, and soon no light is on anyone's face. I continue to walk up the path a bit further. A cat calls, a dog barks, and soon there is no murmur. As I walk past a gate of the chapel on the hill, I see a mist gathering in the cemetery, and it fills. You can't see the ground, and as the shadows take over, you can see nothing. You can see nothing. But you feel that you are not alone in this grave filled with dead for centuries. As I walk, I get a chill, and I shudder to think of all the souls buried just beneath my feet. I turn back towards town and try to walk away, but something is telling me, please don't go, stay. I look to see if there's someone watching, but I am alone. 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 On a walk in the night, I catch a terrible fright. I think I see shadows moving in the distance. I look again. I look in persistence, but nothing moves and nothing makes a sound. As I look at my watch, the night has gone round. I work my way to the gate of the cemetery to try to find the path back to humanity, and still feel the voices saying, please don't go, please stay. As I am about to give in to the gloom, to relent myself to the suffering doom, I see a light in the east, rising. It chases the shadows. My fear is subsiding. As I see the light of a brand new day, I know that I will be okay as I find the gate and walk back to my home, chilled from the night, but the sun warms my bone. How was that? That was just impromptu and on the spot. Well, we're going back into the British character. And we're going to tell a couple more ghost stories. By golly, we're going to do it. The first story comes from an island that is so full of terror, so full of captivity. I've got to put my glasses on to read this to you. This is about the haunted Alcatraz. On May 2nd, 1946, in what became known as the Battle of Alcatraz, 6 prisoners overpowered guards, stole their weapons, and tried to escape from the prison on this isolated island in San Francisco Bay. But when they realized they were missing the key they needed to flee into the recreation yard, they grew desperate. They took captives, and they started shooting. Over the next 2 days, prison officers were killed, 2 of them, and 18 were injured. 3 of the would-be escapees were shot to death in the utility corridor between the cell blocks, the very spot that 36 years later, San Francisco radio anchor Ted Wygant was exploring with the psychic when he was overcome by a feeling of violence and evil. "I got this tremendous feeling of anger," he told the Travel Channel. "I felt his presence beneath us in the dirt where these 3 men had died." This is only one of many supernatural stories involving the so-called Rock, which has been a Civil War fortress, a bird sanctuary, and the birthplace of the American Indian Red Powers movement. In addition to the brutal home for thousands of hardened convicts rejected as unmanageable by other prisons, these men were called the Incorrigibles. According to inmate Leon Whitey Thompson, you step on a toe, it's going to wind up in a death. Many of these long-departed inmates are now said to be unruly spirits. A spectral Al Capone has been heard practicing his banjo in the shower room. Mobster Alvin Creepy Carpus cults the bakery kitchen and the bakery home, while George Machine Gun Kelly has reportedly materialized in the chapel. But the most haunted spot, according to many investigators, is D Block, the site of the infamous 1946 escape attempt, and of the island's best spook story. Though the tale seems apocryphal, it's too good not to mention. A prisoner locked in cell 14D, one of the whole cells, supposedly screamed that someone else was in the dark hole with him. When guards finally opened the door, they found him dead. Strangulation marks from a spectral attacker on his neck. This little setback, however, did not prevent the late prisoner's ghost from showing up at roll call. Unlike so many haunted places, Alcatraz doesn't commercially capitalize on its reputation. The National Park Service calls it flights of fancy. They say there are no authenticated cases of ghostly sightings at Alcatraz. But residents over the years, whether they were soldiers, prisoners, correctional officers, family members, say that there's nothing authenticated. But how would you authenticate a ghost sighting anyway? And former prisoner Thompson, for his part, believes the hype. This island is haunted, he said. It is the island of the damned. So think of that next time you go to the city by the bay. Look out across the waters towards Alcatraz. You may be seeing ghosts and not even know it. You'll notice that on our screen we have a Twitter feed. If you hashtag scary ghost stories, you can see your tags up there on the screen. All right. We've had our bit of fun. Wait. Oh, my goodness. What was that? Let's see here. Yes, what do you want? Really? Ah, everyone. This is my good friend, Captain Bob. As you can see, he's lost his head. Fortunately, I have mine. And you can see I've lost a little weight since my beheading. Oh well, so much fun for that. Well, folks, yes, go on. Well, folks, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Share it with your friends. Before I decide to take this off YouTube because it embarrasses me. Hey, but join us next week. We'll have a special guest star. His name's Farmer Ned. And yes, Farmer Ned lived and died over 100 years ago. So join us next week, because Farmer Ned is dead, but he's coming back just to see you. All right, folks, be good, and if you can't be good,